far away, for example, like Jing, you're too far. Stone, could you come forward, please? And Jean and Andy, move forward a little bit, please. Thank you very much for sitting closer to me. I really appreciate it. I feel much better that way because I want to have good interaction with you. Please come forward if you are willing. Okay, we are very excited today to have two special speakers. The first speaker is Jason Chen, who has been grading your written assignments ever since the beginning of the semester. He has been collaborating with Peggy, and he's going to share with you how to write your assignments more effectively. And then the second hour, Benson Xu is going to talk about law and language. Okay, let's welcome Jason.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's my honor to be here and give you a short talk, not really a talk, but I just want to share my my feedback on your feedback. Okay, my name is Wu. Wu. Which direction I should point at? Okay? Oh, this way. Thanks. Okay, this is my name, Jason. I'm a hidden grader, always behind the scene. Okay, so here are some aspects that you need to pay attention to. The first thing is overall organization. When you first start to write your assignment, you have to identify what kind of genre you are going to write. Okay, so usually we have two parts. The first part is our summary, and the second part is your reflection. As for summary, the genre you are going to choose is expository. So the thing you have to do is the first, like inform and describe or explain a subject to your readers. Okay, this is very straightforward. So actually you have to summarize the thing you read from your reading materials. The second part is responses, which engage argumentative genre. Okay, so the thing you have to do is to analyze and give your own thoughts. This is very important because me and Peggy will be reading this part, the same thing for like 26 times. So this part is very important. So if you want to interest your readers, just put more efforts on this part. And then let's have a look at this example. So this required question is actually from the assignment from 2 weeks ago. How could the negligence have been avoided? Okay, so this writer write number one, not only a way to report the results to the coordinator, and then this, and then the second point is double checks. One is lab, hospital, and the final one is what? So I can't see very clearly. But this is very straightforward, of course, because this writer has answered the question very efficiently and effectively, but this is not the way we want because a composition is different from an essay question. I understand that many of you might be very busy, so you might finish your homework at the last minute, but this is not, well, what we expect. So try to make some paragraphs instead of like listing points, okay? And the second thing is you have to make it cohesive. This is introduction and then personal responses plus critical thinking. This is what we just mentioned. As for introduction, you just briefly give your readers like background information of the case or the events. Okay, this is the third point. The third point is your writing has to be logical, because I know sometimes when you are really into an argument or an event, then you will digress a bit. But to avoid that you have to reread your writings a lot of times so you can identify which part is irrelevant. So you just take, what you need to do is to take that irrelevant part out. Okay? And then this is another example for introduction. Okay, the required question is summarize the two sides of the arguments in Clinton and Lewinsky scandal. So this writer says the two sides of the argument in Clinton and Lewinsky scandals are arguing if sexual relations exclude oral sex and etc. This is very good. This is very straightforward. This writer answered the question very effectively. But if you want to do it better, then see the comment. Although the writer responded to the question quite straightforwardly, it would be better if he or she could provide some basic information about the events. So every time when you every time when you want to write, when you want to answer a required question, just assume your readers are new to the event. Although I read the reading material for like 100 times, so I'll be very familiar with what's going on in the event. But just assume that I am a new person to this event. Okay. So the better way to do is this. Okay. So this writer provides Clinton and Lewinsky scandal is a scandal where Clinton was accused of having sexual relations with Lewinsky, his intern member. So this is very short introduction and give your readers a very, very basic information about the event. Okay? Yeah. And then this writer did a very good job in the sense that she pointed out that who is in the case and then what is the case about and then where, maybe where, or sometimes if you have time, you just point out when or the results. As for paragraph organization, the first thing you have to do is always have a topic sentence that gives your readers general ideas of a paragraph. This is very important because, well, I'll show you some examples later. And the second thing is use cohesive devices. Also, such as also, furthermore, moreover, in addition, and however, if you want to do some transition, and therefore, if you want to point out some consequences, etc., wisely, okay? Because I notice few of you will use like A and B and C and D and E and F. Okay, so you actually you have other choices. So these are the other choices you can select. So here I provide two good topic sentences. Let's read the first one. The problem of a definition is caught from different perspectives, different dimensions to figure out the whole picture. Okay, and the second is in Clinton and Lewinsky scandal, there are two different opinions in the side of each party. So do you know why these sentences are good? Why? Just focus on the red words. Say perspectives, dimensions, and two different opinions. Actually, you can expect what the writers will say in the following sentences. So this is very good. Okay, so I can expect two different opinions. So I know like this writer will talk about these two opinions in the following sentences. This is very good. As for link your paragraphs, this is also important because I noticed some of you will write like several very good paragraphs, but it seems to me that these paragraphs are independent to each other. So if you want to put them together, a good strategy that you can use is like this. this is the first paragraph. After then, it was reported that the president had had oral sex with Lewinsky in response to the unclear sexual relations. There were two sides of the argument. Okay, so this is the last sentence in the previous paragraph. So this it moves to the second paragraph. The two sides of arguments focus on the definition of sexual relations first and then second. Okay, so just notice these two red words. So it actually, the second paragraph is connected to the previous paragraph in the sense that, say, for example, this is a key point that the writer is going to talk about, and then so the writer put these two keywords, two sides, in the topic sentence in the next paragraph. So this makes the paragraphs look more cohesive. As for linking devices within a paragraph, we just mentioned it. You can use therefore, or you can use in addition, okay, instead of using and repeatedly. This is very good. Good critical thinking skills. The first thing, if you want to demonstrate your good critical thinking skills, you have to engage yourself before you can engage your readers. Like, if you can't really relate to the event or the arguments, you can't really engage your readers. Okay, this is a good example. I just finished summarizing weekly reading materials of the philosophy of education, and I found that the whole concept of the topic is based on postmodernism. Okay, why this is good? Because the writer says, I found that, okay, this interests me a lot, because in the previous part, it was summary again, and that's the part that I'm most familiar with. So when I see I found, then I just want to know, like, what kind of information or what kind of arguments the writers are trying to say. Okay, and then here again, I was quite shocked. And the second thing you can do is analyzing an event from different perspectives. Here is another good example. This is quite long. Let's just start from here. That's a search for this case on the internet. You can do this because if you lack like inspirations or like ideas, actually what you can do is to search on the internet and get more information so you can make your critical engagement more complete. Okay, and then when I read this, I wanted to know what kind of information the writers found. So the first argument is gender equality issue. Clinton could get away with the scandal while Lewinsky was merely on intern without any power. This is first argument. And the second argument is from a different perspective. The other issue was what people would do in order to be famous. Okay, and then the last is I could not help but start to doubt. Okay, this is also demonstrate the writer's critical thinking because the writer is start to like question from different perspectives. So if you want to do it well, then you can ask reasonable questions and provide relevant evidence. This is very important. As for language concerns, there are some language concerns that you might want to know. The first is tense. Usually we use past tense when we describe a past event. So you'll be using this tense for your summary because in your summary, you'll be talking about a past event, right? Like this, Clinton used when tried. And this is sort of like a mistake. When I first read the case in detail, I asked the question in my mind, so just pay attention. And the second thing is agreement, third person singular, like this. Okay. To other people, the definition of sexual relations is that only one person touch or contact the other's genital. Okay. So what I do is every time I finish my writing, I will check these two, tense and agreement, to see if there's any mistakes or not. The third point is nouns and articles. This is not very frequent, but some of you will make this mistake. When we talk about nouns, we talk about two different kinds of nouns. The first kind is countable, and the other is uncountable. So, like this, we shouldn't use uncertain phrase or vague noun, right? Whenever you see a noun, then you have to identify if it's a countable or uncountable. If it's a countable noun, then you should have an article in front of it. Otherwise, you have to change this noun into a plural form. So this is the correct way to do. An uncertain phrase or a vague noun. Does that make sense to you? Okay. This is the second example. The former is narrow sense and the latter is broad sense. Again, we should put an article in front of the noun because sense is countable. But in this case, the problem is not only the moral problem but also the political issue. Okay, so just focus the article the, because we are not referring to a specific moral problem or a specific political issue. So the best way to do it is to use a or an. Okay, this is very basic. As for uncountable noun, there is one I want to introduce. This is evidence. Say, with these evidences, evidence may seem countable to you, but actually it's uncountable. So if you want to use it correctly, you can use this with these pieces of evidence. And same as information and research. These words are also uncountable. Punctuation, okay, comma, because, okay, you shouldn't have a comma in front of because is a conjunction. And then here, like this, I think the thing is domestic thing. We can't punish he just because he is wrong behave. So regardless of the grammatical errors, if you finish one sentence, you should put a period, not a comma. If you want to connect these two sentences, you can use and. Okay. Okay, the third is, for example, maybe the bird can fly in the sky having a pair of wings, ... So in English, we don't use ... If you want to express ... you can use so on, or so forth, or etc. As for wording, because I was young when this case erupted, I can understand this. But erupt, this is the verb, can be only used for volcano. Do you know what volcanoes is? Yeah, volcano is like, how do I explain? Well, what a volcano is, 火山, yeah, it's 火山. Usually the lava will erupt. And then the second is, before reading the case, I always answer a question or ask a question based on my own assumption on particular definition. Like when I was asked a question about the far, how far can you go, or you go steady on your relationship. Okay, this is very okay for me because I can totally understand. But the point is, like, if you use this is only for colloquial language. This doesn't sound very professional, and this doesn't sound very academic. So if you want to express like, you can use this, for example, or for instance. Okay, don't use like. Like is too colloquial. And there are more serious concerns. The first one is plagiarism. Okay, so how do I know if you plagiarize someone's ideas or someone's work? Of course you will know. Why? Because when you say, for example, if you write your writing assignments, usually your writing style will be very consistent. So, like for a reader like me, then first paragraph is okay, and the second paragraph is okay, and then suddenly in your third paragraph, your proficiency increased a lot. then I will know this is not from you, this is from someone else, and then you take somebody's work directly